And you see, it's a kind of massive, movement. People who really want to be part of the ideals of the government. The need for us to live a good life, respecting the rule of law and all that. It's quite great. I feel fulfilled.
You spend, for those who are a little bit close to you, you spend most of your time solving other people's problems. So how do you solve yours? You're a family man, you're married, you have kids. So how do they feel about your activism, all those police interrogations? Several times you're weeks away in the middle of the night. You get to the airport, your passports are seized, you're never allowed to travel out of the country for the last 10 years.
See, when you are set to make a change, you should be prepared to get into some of these things you have named. It's not too important. There are things that are even happening now that you will not even imagine. But one thing is good, that we are all Nigerians and we have all reasons to make our own contribution to this great country. That is the most important thing. Do I need to go to overseas? What has that got to do with me? If you really want to ask questions, Nigeria, the God has been so magnanimous to this country.
One of the reasons you wanted to travel out about 10 years ago was to attend the FIATA's international conference. You were disallowed because of security reports.
No, when
you were
right, if you can raise that issue, when we were disallowed to go because some of these people who thought we want to stop them from doing one or two things, then we brought the president to Nigeria. You got to do your own job. We can go, and FIATA is a global body. Okay, fine. Since we cannot go, then FIATA must also realize that Nigeria is a great country. And we engage them. And the president of the FIATA has to be in Nigeria, Issa Balochi. And we go stay him at Ekol Meridian. And after our meeting, he moved straight to Abuja to meet with Ojo Madekwe, okay, then the Minister of Transport. And that has led to the establishment or enactment of Council for Regulation of Freight Forwarding. So you don't get intimidated by anybody. There's nothing that somebody will say, I must go to overseas and all that. The place is too cold. Nigeria is a great country. Everything is here. Don't need to bother ourselves. But then we still need to collaborate with people. But if you get to the point that you want to show some level of bluff, we'll call you off. Nigeria is a great nation. It's unfortunate that corruption is really making some of us...
you haven't answered a question about how your family, your immediate family feels about your activism.
I cannot do anything without my family. There are questions I don't really want to go into. It's immaterial. My family is, before I do anything, I have discussed with them and they're prepared to go. And they're with me all the time. Okay? As I'm talking, they're all watching. They're all watching, I'm sure.
And they feel happy to see you.
Well, they have to be happy, because even if they're not happy, they cannot, what can they do to me? I'm already married to my wife, and my children are my children. They cannot answer any other person's name until they die, and I cannot have any other kids down. So we're already tied by God. So sometimes I don't want to get myself in all those things. There are things that God has made to be like that, so you don't bother yourself. You better face other challenges, not things that are irrelevant. They are my family, they're my family. Okay? And so
your face has been appearing in the newspapers over the past few days, stepping into the hot waters or tepid waters of politics, core politics, or politicking.
It is not necessarily myself going into politics. It's still part of the strategic plan for liberation. The political wing of NAGAF is New Nigeria People's Party, and I'm again going there to set up the machinery, and this time we will make NAGAF people to go into politics in all the states of the Federation. You see, you have strategic plan to do one or two things. There are things we really want to do, but we cannot do it from outside. Then we have to go politically. So we have to set out another agenda, okay? We are some of these people, these are great men and women. When you have access to the sea, you have access to the riches of the world. But I single-handedly may not be able to do that, so it has to be a collective responsibility. It's a movement, we're still going. So, like you rightly said, the New Nigeria People's Party, we have just finished our NEC meeting, and if you check our websites, I want to pay attention to not necessarily going to contest anything for now, but to set that structure to create opportunity for NAGAF members who are interested in politics to, because we are all over the country, the 6 geopolitical zones, freight forwarders are there. So this is how a political party should grow, okay? It's not just a question of 1, 2, 3, 4 people coming together because of whatever they want to do. What really is the ideology? What is the money? What do they want to achieve? So you must have an objective, whatever you want to do.
Last week, the Northern Governors Forum in Nigeria met, and they delivered a very scathing report about political leadership in Nigeria. And they said that political leaders in Nigeria have failed, that we should be ashamed that 50 years after independence, our political leaders haven't been able to deliver to the electorate. Do you agree with that statement?
Well, anybody is entitled to make his suggestion, and sometimes you could still sit down in your comfort of room and make your statement. The political leaders, you said the Governors Forum. So I wouldn't want, I would be wondering what the Governors Forum will be talking, because the governors themselves are already in power. These are state executives.
So you are not in power. So what do you think?
What are they talking about that the leaders?
So what do you think about the political leadership? Because you are putting people together.
I think we would rather say that leadership in the instance has not done so well. The expectation of people, not that they have failed. Because if they have failed, maybe some of us will not be alive. But I think the most important thing is to engage people constructively. If there are things they are doing that are wrong, we should also discuss that. And they themselves should have that feeling, the capacity to take constructive engagement. And if, when we have that kind of mind, we will be better off. You see, both like I did say, I don't like getting involved in issues that one cannot really say, okay, this is the right thing. We all know that two things in Nigeria. Leadership has not been concrete, and of course instances of corruption. But because we've not gotten that great leadership, I think that's one of the problems that we're talking about, corruption. It's unfortunate that Mr. President fell sick, and I admire the president. I'm talking of Yaradua, you know, because somebody who does not want to meddle with the other arms of the government and all that, talking about rule of law and all that. But the way the acting president is going now, which is a continuity, I think something more strategic will happen in Nigeria, and will be better for it.
We're talking about leadership. Very soon, with the way you're dabbling into politics right now, or politicking as it were, your profile will change from a maritime activist to a political leader. So how do you think people should look at you in terms of when they say Nigerian political leaders haven't been delivering to the people?
No, it's a gradual process. It took us 10 years to stabilize Nagaf, and we leave it. So politically, you don't know how many years, and it does not mean somebody like me must conclude that. The important thing is that we are fashioning people for them to understand that God is great for having given all this to Nigeria, and we need to make our own contribution.
So what kind of political leaders are you building for NAGA political wing?
Yeah, leadership, like you have said now. I have relinquished power and authority. Nobody asked me to go, and I have to go. That's a great, great example. I still know there are some of us in that port industry who have been there for 13 years, and they're now using police to chase people around. He doesn't want to go. So how do you say that? So
you're retiring into politics rather than something like perhaps farming at your country home in Anambra State?
Human beings must be engaged in one thing. You cannot be doing everything at a time. People must be farming, people must be in politics. Even at that level, I read mechanized agriculture. Of course, you may not do that.
So you never practice that?
Yeah, but that's again the societal problem. And some of these things are things that are setting this country.
So why do you prefer politics rather than to what you studied?
It's part of the problem of the country, because when I left school in 1979 and all that, there was no job. That was the time of austerity measure. But basically, education gives you an opportunity to, you know, defend yourself and do one other things. And getting myself into customs, you still need to do their 6-month training and all that. That is neither here nor there. What is important is do you have the Nigerian Constitution even made it possible for somebody who has a school cert to even be in politics. So
there's money in politics. Is that your reason?
Level. So politics is about service.
It's not about money?
It's not about money. It's not about money. It's about service. I think we should understand that. That's why the governor of Niger State says he's the chief servant. He calls himself chief servant. People should call him chief servant. Don't even call him His Excellency. That's humility. God himself is about humility.
Does humility have to do with title or with what you do?
This has to do with individual human beings. But for me, I think humility is the best you can get, since God himself is human. That's the best you can get.
So why are you in politics if it's not for money?
But I have never been in money. That does not mean I don't like money. You understand? And if it is money, I don't even need to go and do all I have been doing. I don't need to tell you how much this has cost me, including the trust that are inherent in that, but it's a service that you have to offer to the greater number. And I feel fulfilled because I have built capacity in terms of, human being. And if you ask me, I will tell you I'm a wealthy man. Because I feel good when I see people have touched their lives and they're even much, much richer than me. I'm not a rich man. I'm a wealthy man because I have created capacity.
So technically, you've been able to build a political party, a political followership on the back of a professional freight forwarding association.
Any way you want to look at it, that is how politics should grow. You don't just dabble into the system and maybe you've gone to steal money somewhere, and then because the level of poverty in the country and all that, you start distributing money.
So right now you don't need to throw money around a lot because you have the followership.
You don't really need. You see, when we just concluded our next meeting and we spoke to this people. Listen, you're taking me into a different thing completely. But I have tried to make people to understand that it's money that we should be using in politics should be money for logistics. In terms of offices and throughout the state and office equipment, computer and all that, and the mobility. Not money you give or bag of rice and all. What's the meaning of that? It's not going to help anybody because, of course, we never fed for that.
So you won't give bag of rice or vegetable oil to anyone?
What does that mean? What's the bag of rice? That is a deceit to me. I'm deceiving you. And I don't deceive people. Why should I deceive you? Give you a bag of rice? After that bag of rice, what happened next? You may not even see me again. Does it make sense? But even, see, today I'm here because it's been wonderful in channels, and I have to be here. I want to thank everybody who has made it possible for us to do, particularly the Controller General of Customs. I spoke to him this morning. He's on his way to Jamaica or whatever, and it's been wonderful. You see, because we need to see young people come on board, to make changes. Those things we are talking in NAGAV is currently what the Controller General of Customs is talking about. The need for professional standard.
Dr. Aniebonam,
you understand? So that's what I want to hear.
We thank you very much for finding time to be here. We're sure the next time you're here, we want you to be here with your succeeded, the one who succeeds you as the president in office, and would want you to formally unveil him to us here on the program. We thank you very much for being here and your relationship with Channels Television. Dr. Boniface,
thank you, particularly you are good self. It's been wonderful.
Thank you very much. We
Some
appreciate
of them
it.
may not even know that the NAGAV constitution was, you were part of the technical crew. You were part of them.
That's part of the disclosure.
That's why we call you the head of Kamikaze.
Thank you so much, Dr. Aniebonam. And for all of our viewers,